Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be talking about the interview that Ed Boon had yesterday with Warner Play Brazil. There was some interesting information that we got from this interview, but I think the most important thing I want to talk about is the story aspects. So they do talk about not only Tsung being a main villain, but they also talk about a potential new character. Okay, so the interviewer asked Ed Boon, can we expect a new character in the franchise? Obviously alluding to Mortal Kombat 1, and Ed Boon basically says yes, but he cannot talk about it right now. But there is a few things that people have been pointing out with Ed's reaction to this question and also the way he answered it. So for one, Ed Boon does take like a huge pause before actually answering the question. So it does leave us to believe that if there was an actual brand new character in this game, it should have been a lot easier for Ed Boon to be like, oh yeah, there's a new character, of course, but that's not really what happened. He thought about it for a while. So I wonder if he's actually just referring to characters that we've had in the series before that have like a new reimagining. Because obviously that's like every character. We have like Scorpion, Sub-Zero, even Melina, Kung Lao, Raiden. These are all reimagined characters. So in theory, they are new characters, but they are actually just, old characters with a new look, a new story. So I wonder if Ed Boon was actually just talking about new versions of characters, like new looks for characters, or if he's actually alluding to an actual new character. And I think that a lot of people are on the fence about this in general if there is a new character, because of the new characters from Mortal Kombat 11, of course. Even X had a ton of new characters, but I think on the evil side of things, especially in Mortal Kombat 11, these characters are what kind of made people not like the game as much for the story aspect. So like in MK11, we had Kronika, Garrus, Cetrion, and the Collector. These are all new characters that of course ended up being villains. And everyone has been preaching for a very long time now that Mortal Kombat 1 doesn't have to have new characters. There's so many characters that are completely untouched from the 3D era especially, that can be reused, that can be revitalized and, renewed for this game. So it does make a lot of sense that people wouldn't want to see new characters, and I think especially on the front of the actual roster is where people have the problem with it. So when you take into account Mortal Kombat 11's new characters and the actual main villain being a completely new character, of course not including Aftermath where the end villain was actually Shang Tsung, but Kronika, Garrus, and Cetrion especially, something like those characters, I really don't think I want something like that to happen again in Mortal Kombat 1. I would completely understand and be okay with us getting a new character that's like a monk, for example, from the Wuxi Academy. A new Earthrealm fighter would be completely okay, but I really don't want a new villain. With the way that Ed Boon is talking about the 3D era representation, I hope that that's not only going to spread to the main roster fighters, and that can actually lead into the main villain as well, because of course I would love to see Onaga. But even if it's not Onaga, I want to see not be a completely new villain that we don't really care about. I really do think that that could take away from our enjoyment of Mortal Kombat 1's story. And we already know that Shang Tsung is going to be a big part of this game, but we do know he's not going to be the only villain. Which that leads into our next question, which I'll kind of tie to the new character right now. But the next question was the interviewer asking Ed Boon, who is the villain of this game? Who is the, big bad of this game? And Ed Boon said that we know that Shang Tsung is there. And Shang Tsung is a main villain, but he is not the only villain. This is to be expected. I mean, it's Shang Tsung, it's a Mortal Kombat game. It does make sense for him to be a big villain. But what I'm hoping is, I'm really not wanting and I'm really hoping that Shang Tsung isn't the beginning villain. He sets the groundwork for the evil aspect of this new world, and then all of a sudden it shifts into a completely new villain, like a Kronika level villain. I really hope that that's not the case, and I think that NetherRealm does know the perception of a character like Kronika, but I don't even think it's inherently the issue of having a new character be the villain. I think that is part of the issue, but a character like Kronika, for example, was literally just like a plot device written into existence just for power creep and to, push the universe forward. And I don't think we need that in Mortal Kombat 1. In Mortal Kombat 1, we can take it easy, and we can afford to spend more time with a villain. The main villain of this game doesn't have to be killed off in this game. I really don't think that's the case. And especially if they want to bring back a villain like Onaga, or even have the Deadly Alliance come back, which Ed Boon did tease in another interview. That type of stuff would be extremely exciting, especially if it's built up upon. So not like a one-off villain that is brung back and killed in the same game. I'm kind of getting lost in everything here, just talking about everything. I'm just rambling at this point. But my whole point is, we know that Shang Tsung is going to be a main villain. Ed Boon confirmed that. But we also know that there's a new character coming to this game. And I'm just preparing myself, but also hoping that the new character is not the main villain. Because that could definitely be the case where Shang Tsung starts the universe out and starts out being the big bad, but then it leads into this new threat. But I really think that a new character slot doesn't need to be used for something like that. And of course, this is all assuming that Ed Boon was not talking about already existing characters and he said in his mind oh yeah, that character is basically new now. This is assuming that that is not what he meant. So assuming that he meant a completely new character, I'm praying and hoping that it's going to be just like, you know, a monk or a Lin Kuei assassin or something like that. Like we could use another character like Takeda Kung Jin, like one of those type of characters that isn't a new addition to the villain roster. They could also be like a minor villain. Maybe I didn't really think about that either. Like a character kind of like Devora, where Devora isn't like the final big bad of the games that she's in, but she still is a like important villain, right? So they could do that as well, but I don't know. I'm getting everywhere with this, but let's talk about Shang Tsung a little bit more too. We know from the character intros and also the first reveal trailer that Shang Tsung is going to have some prevalence in this game. He seems to be tampering with some things involving Melina, involving like the realms, I think, if I'm remembering correctly from the character intros. But either way, we know that he is a part of this story. And then Ed Boon's answer to the question basically sets this in stone. So again, Ed Boon did tease in another interview. He said, as an example, that you know, Liu Kang could see like, hey, Shang Tsung is teaming up with that guy. That's not good. We have to stop that. And I think that's an obvious nod to the Deadly Alliance, so Shang Tsung and Quan Chi. But again, there could be a new Deadly Alliance, like it could be Shang Tsung and Onaga, or Shang Tsung and Shao Kahn. Well, that's not really a new Deadly Alliance. We've seen that happen before, but you guys know what I mean. I think that we don't need to see a new villain be the prevalent force in this game. And the fact that we know that Shang Tsung isn't the only one does mean that there's going to be something that is way greater than him in this story. I don't think that the villain that is next to Shang Tsung is going to be like below him. I would have to assume that the villain is going to be on equal footing or be even bigger of a threat than him. I'm hoping it's not something on Chronica level, because then the universe is just going to get like what, rebooted again, and then we're going to get Mortal Kombat 1.5 for the next game, and I don't want that. I do think that the power creep and stuff should be like held in check, and they can also write a villain that doesn't have to be a super mega omnipotent god that can just destroy Goku. Like they don't need to write every character to be that way. So again, I think that they can use old stuff that we have. Onaga, they can use Reiko, they can use Havoc, they can use anybody. Literally anybody is better than having a new villain, I think. But again, they could have like an underling be a new character that is a new villain. I'm okay with that. But especially with one of the villains being Shang Tsung, I think that we need something that is as good, if not better, and can top him. I wouldn't think that a new villain or a new character that we have no connection to will top Shang Tsung, and I think that would just be a disservice. But anyway, that's something I wanted to talk about a little bit today. So again, we get confirmed that there is a new character, at least one, and then also that Shang Tsung is a big part of the villains, but he is not the only one. So these are things that we could of course draw our own conclusions from, and we could have also assumed that these things were going to be the case. The one thing that again a lot of people are on the fence about is a new character. Ed Boon has already talked about how every single era is going to be represented in Mortal Kombat 1. So if that's the case, it's hard to say, because like a new character, it could be an unplayable new character like Chronica, but it's like, fuck, I don't want that, you know what I mean? So if this new character is main roster, maybe it is going to be an Earthrealm fighter. Maybe I should look at it that way, right? If this new character is going to be base roster and it's representing an era of Mortal Kombat, then maybe it will be, you know, just a normal playable character, and it won't be somebody who's on the level of Chronica or Cetrion that was a new character, that was a villain, that ended up not actually being all that. Let me know what you guys think. I do think there is still the chance that Ed Boon was also just kind of trolling and was talking about how characters in this new era are completely reimagined. So maybe he's thinking about, you know, Reptile, and Reptile has a completely new design, and in this era he's not from his own realm, he's from Outworld or something. And so in Ed Boon's mind, he's like, oh yeah, Reptile is a new character this time around, so we'll see. I've seen people jokingly throw around Pink Floyd, which would be unironically a really cool character to see. I think that would be really funny. But I wonder if they'd have to worry about copyright issues. Not that WB can't work around that, you know what I mean? I'm sure they can throw some money at it. I am excited for a new character. I think that it could be a good character, but I hope that it isn't just some stupid villain that is added to the story in order to increase the power creep, to move the plot forward, and is instead a character that actually complements the story, that complements the main cast, and that also complements my enjoyment of the fucking game. I want the character to be fun, you know what I mean? So I'm really hoping that this is a good decision and doesn't end up being another Chronica. Sorry to repeat myself, but I really am skeptical about this, because I genuinely was under the impression that this game might not have any new characters, but that does not seem to be the case. And as for Shang Tsung, I really do see him being a puzzle piece, one piece of many to build the actual final villain of this game. Not literally, right? He's not going to do like the fusion dance or something, but I mean that in theory, he is going to be part of what actually is this huge issue that Liu Kang and everybody is facing in this new timeline. And with what Ed Boon has said, it could be the Deadly Alliance. It might not even be Quan Chi and Shang Tsung though. It could be a new character. This is a new timeline. Things are going to shape out differently, but do keep that on the table. I do think Quan Chi does have a good chance of being in this game, especially with Shang Tsung's involvement. And for me personally, I just want Onaga. I really do want to see him in this game, and I think it would be a good spin on the old timeline where, you know, the Deadly Alliance and Raiden had to go against Onaga when Onaga was reborn, because the Deadly Alliance were reigning over everything. So in this timeline, maybe Shang Tsung and Quan Chi work for Onaga instead. And of course, it is the world of Mortal Kombat. These are bad people, these are villains, so there probably would be some deception there, and maybe Quan Chi would, you know, go against Onaga or go against Shang Tsung. But I think it would also be cool if they didn't do that, and they were actually just this crazy team up that was unstoppable. It would be like some type of deadly trio, so to speak, and I think that would be a cool plot point. Sorry to waste some of your guys' time. I think I'm rambling at this point, but then let me know your guys' thoughts. Hope you guys are all having a great day. I was debating on doing a community reaction or that Havoc teaser we got. I might do it still. Most of the comments are kind of the same, but I thought it would still be fun to do a community reaction, but I'm just not sure if it's like worthy of one. So if you want to, let me know your guys' thoughts on that as well. Make sure you guys stay safe, stay hydrated, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye bye.